Hello beautiful souls, welcome to another video. This reading is going to be the shadow work reading, Saturday shadow work, and I will already say the energy feels very heavy concerning it. I've already pulled the cards, but there's just like a level of procrastination that has come. Like, I laid out all the cards, I was ready to do the reading, and it was just this energy of like almost not wanting to do it, which is very interesting. So it could be that this is the energy that you all are facing, especially with looking at the cards. It definitely feels like that energy of like someone who's not in the best place, right? So with shadow work readings, they are going to be a little bit heavier. They are going to center on deeper, darker topics. Shadow work in and of itself is really about kind of embracing the shadows in your life, the parts of your life that maybe are a little darker and a little harder to swallow for people, maybe, or maybe the parts that you hide away from the world, either by conditioning or by design, and maybe things that you were told were not okay to talk about or to show. And so these readings are really meant to kind of traverse that valley of the darker things, the darker topics, and hopefully come out of it with a bit more light. It's not necessarily about getting rid of those dark parts, getting rid of those shadows, or even about transmuting them. It could be about transmuting it into a lighter thing. But really, I think it's mainly about awareness and acceptance, you know? So I pulled different cards from different decks. I have a few cards, a few decks that are specifically meant for shadow work, so those are the ones that I pulled. I have 3 sets of oracle cards and a new tarot deck. So again, the links in my description are not affiliated. I realize now that I had a description that said links are affiliated. That was old. They're not affiliated. So I got this new tarot deck. It's basically the Rider-Waite tarot, but in a more enlarged, clearer version, and I've been loving it so far. So you will see that appear here, and it should also now be the first link in the description if you're interested in getting it for yourself. It's a very beautiful deck. It's very vibrant. I love it. So I would definitely recommend for anyone who does tarot to give it a look-see if you're looking for a new deck. Alright, so we're gonna just dive right into it. The first deck of cards that I pulled was my Dark Mirror Oracle. I was saying it in my head, but somehow it sounded wrong. So the Dark Mirror Oracle, I have the books on the side, but I'm actually not going to be reading from the Oracle books. But I pulled 3 cards for each of the Oracle decks. So the first one is Forgetting Oneself. And based on the energy of this card, it feels like someone who wears a mask, like, and on the outside you seem like the kind of person that everyone wants to know that maybe you might be really popular, or it's this energy of someone who seems really put together, seems super confident, seems super kind of aware and appreciative of themselves, like someone who knows they're beautiful, right? But within, it's a darker energy. It's more depression. It's more maybe you don't love yourself as much as others may think you do, or it's basically on the outside everything seems perfect, and maybe you have designed it to be that way, but on the inside everything is falling apart. Everything is not as it seems. So forgetting oneself in and of itself also kind of leans into this energy of presenting a facade, presenting a face, presenting as whatever to a particular person or people in your life for so long that you begin to forget who you truly are and what you truly want. I found this for my own life in terms of, I don't know, kind of following a script that wasn't even mine. It was just something I was going along with for the sake of approval, or because it was easier, right? And now I find that I feel like I'm living my own script, my own life, but yeah, that's what the energy of this card is. It's someone who is so deep in the lie, and I say that lightheartedly, not in a judgmental way, but so deep in the lie that it becomes the truth for them, and it becomes harder to distinguish between the light and the dark, the truth and the lies. So that might be something you're resonating with. The second card is today for tomorrow. And when I saw this card, I basically was thinking, I think there's a saying that says, like, worrying about tomorrow's troubles today. And this energy of this card is basically like almost taking on tomorrow's problems for today, or trading today for tomorrow, because you're so focused and fixated on the future, you're so focused on tomorrow and maybe goals that you want to achieve or plans that you have, or you're just so centered on the future that you're unaware of what's happening in the present. And I get this energy of almost someone who's letting life pass them by. Like, they're so focused on everything that they want to achieve that they're not fully in tune with the things that are happening around them. And it could be that the world around them, their personal life, their marriage, their family are falling apart, but they're not really even taking it into consideration as much as they should. It seems like someone who's so distracted by the success that they want to achieve that they're not present with who they are or with their family. I'm getting the distinct image of like a mother who might be in a business role, who is just, like I said, very, very focused on climbing the corporate ladder, but is unable to be present with her family, or is unable to be present with her spouse or her partner. And there is tension there that's growing because of your lack of presence, right? So even with that, the question I would ask is, what do those achievements mean to you? Why do you place so much emphasis on that? And with the forgetting oneself card, is it about seeking the approval of others? Is it about seeking the validation of others? Is it about how others perceive you, and you want to make sure that you're always on top and you're always the best? Maybe you're someone who has always been super competitive because within your heart you want that validation, maybe from a parent or a teacher or your friends, and you're so focused on these goals that you set for yourselves that never seem to end because, you know, again, you still have that energy of wanting to please others, and perhaps in and of itself it is the need to please yourself, never feeling like you're good enough, never feeling like what you do is enough, always feeling like there has to be more. And just with those two cards, it's really calling you to stop and take a look at your life as it is right now. Is it even the life that you want? Is it even the the job that you want, the goal that you have? Is it even yours? And even with that procrastination energy that I was feeling before doing this reading, it could be that perhaps you're aware that your world is kind of falling down around you, that you've been putting it off time and time again. Like, it'll be there when you achieve this goal. Everything will still be the same, or still be where it is by the time you get that next position or that next bonus or whatever. And it almost feels like the response to that is no, it's not. You might be so focused on the future and so focused on goals that haven't appeared yet that you're losing valuable time and energy with those around you or with yourself. It's very easy to go throughout life not fully knowing who you are and basically living a lie, and by the time everything ends, it's like, what was it all for? I'm hearing the Billie Eilish song, What Was I Made For? It's like you come to the end and it's just like, what was it all for? What was it worth anything in the end? And to kind of add to that, the third card is alone in the world. So you might be someone who's facing this energy of maybe the more you've been in tomorrow, the more you've kind of lost people around you. Maybe it's kind of like all of a sudden you become aware of just how many people you've lost in your life, or how many relationships have ended, and you're kind of just in this space of depression, in this space of like, what happened, you know, like like you've been in this whole haze for so long, this fixation on whatever it might be, and when you finally become present again, it's like everything around you, everything else around you has disappeared. So yeah. And alone in the world also has the energy of feeling alone in the world. Perhaps you feel like no one else understands the needs or the desires that you have. Maybe no one else can compare, or maybe you've spent so long trying to be the best and build up to the top that no one else reaches your standards because you are so high up on a pedestal, and it's hard for anyone to reach you, right? Even those you may want to be more available to, they see you as being unattainable. And there's a loneliness that comes with that, because it's like, it goes beyond simply having high standards and, you know, having expectation. It goes into a point of having walls and an exterior that is so tough that no one even wants to try. And in this case, it's not a fault of their own, you know? So that's those 3 cards. The next set of cards I have is the Shadow and Light Oracle. And I pulled 3 cards from here as well. So we have Asking and Telling. Now, these decks may all combine and have similar energies or similar trains of thoughts, or they might be completely different. So it might have the energy of a pick a pile energy, pick a card energy. But the energies do feel kind of slightly connected. It might lean into different stories, but they still each have something to say, right? So with the Shadow and Light Oracle, the first card is Asking versus Telling. On most of these cards, the words are direct opposites, kind of like opposing sides of the same coin. Sometimes they feel very similar, but it's like you have to recognize the difference between them. So with Asking and Telling, the energy I got with this card was kind of like the energy of someone who isn't quite sure of themselves, who perhaps, it can go both ways, but someone who speaks with a level of uncertainty or communicates with a level of uncertainty where what you're trying to say doesn't come through the way that it needs to. And in my Heal Yourself deck, there's actually the other card that I was connecting it to, the Say What You Mean card. So some of you may be having a throat chakra issue, or maybe a lifelong issue, where you don't know how to fully express yourself, you don't know how to assert yourself, or you don't speak your truth as often as you should, or if at all, right? You might be someone who remains silent in the midst of everyone else talking because maybe you've been conditioned and trained to be quiet, to be seen and not heard. Perhaps you've always been the quiet one, but it's continued to a point where you don't even feel the need to contribute. You don't even feel like what you have to say has value. It could also be that you don't speak the truth, like someone who lies habitually. But it can also lean into someone who is overactive or over expressive with their throat chakra, as in you tend to direct people without fully connecting with them, without trying to empathize or ask, you know, what's going on. Perhaps you're the kind of person who's so much in the space of saying what you mean that you don't even filter what you say. You don't try to meet people where they are. You don't try to understand the emotions that are triggered by what you're saying. And there's a disconnect with the people around you because you don't know how to communicate with a spirit of empathy. And this actually leans into both that Alone in the World card and the next card, Loneliness versus Connection. right? So you might be suffering right now in a place of loneliness because you're unable to connect with those around you or connect with the people in your life. Here comes Teddy. He always lies directly on my cards. But yeah, loneliness and connection, right? So maybe you've gone through life unable to truly connect with people because it feels difficult or because you can't fully understand. For others of you, it could be this level of not understanding the surface level. And I'm in that space kind of now where surface level is okay in passing, but you know, the things that I think about, the things that I want to have in my life are deeper. I feel like I won't say I'm like super enlightened or anything, but I feel like the topics that plague my mind are more spiritual, more in more about the universe, more about life and existence than it is about worldly issues. And you may be in that situation where maybe you've gone through a spiritual awakening and it feels so much harder to connect to people because everyone's at varying levels, right? And it's hard to find that person that you can connect with where you're at, right? So that could also lean into the previous deck of cards that I was talking about, where maybe that fixation that you have is on higher things or on spiritual things, and maybe you're still trying really hard to appear normal to your friends and family, but you can't connect anymore. There's a disconnect there. So that could also be it, right? And I think with that, even before I continue, with that, there is a level of recognizing the separation. Being willing to meet people at their levels. Of course, you can have the boundaries where you don't necessarily have to speak about certain things, or you don't have to communicate about certain topics, but at least for the sake of human connection, learning to connect with people where they are, maybe in terms of knowledge, maybe in terms of ideas, and of course you can choose to separate yourself from those who simply don't resonate with you, and that's fine, but don't isolate yourself so much in that hermit mode that you lose all sense of connection. I personally am in a hermit mode in myself, in just, I guess, my lifestyle and the way I am. But I still welcome human connection. Even if it's in passing, I still attract people into my life where we might have one conversation and that's it. But I'm willing to sit and listen and share ideas and just talk about whatever it is they want to talk about, you know? So if you're struggling in that sense of connection or not wanting to connect with others, seek out the places where you're more likely to find the people that speak the way you speak and think the way you think, even if it's on a digital platform. Like, having some sense of union is important. Alright, the last card for this deck is energy and motivation. Energy and motivation. And when I first saw that card, I was like, aren't they the same thing? But you can have energy without having motivation. For example, again, with that procrastination energy, right before I wanted to film this video, I had the energy and then it was kind of like gone. I had the motivation, but I didn't have the energy to do anything with it. Or you could have the energy that goes into all other things except what you want to do, because there's no motivation. So perhaps you're in the state where you're in one place or the other, where you don't have the motivation to do something or pursue something, but you have energy that's being wasted or put towards all these other things. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at Teddy. He's so cute. You perhaps need to find a way to be motivated again towards something, to create something, to share something, to start something. And for some of you, you may need to seek out the shadows that are preventing you from going after something. Is it that shadow of not feeling like you are worthy, or not feeling like you are worth something. Maybe you feel like the ideas that you have to share, the things that you have to say, aren't important enough to say them, right? You may feel as though you're not pretty enough, or you're not charismatic enough to step out and do something. Perhaps you think you're not smart enough to start a business, or whatever it might be, and therefore it's affecting your motivation or your energy. Maybe you have the motivation for it, but no energy to do it. So look within, connect with your guides, connect with your angels, and really dive deeper into what is holding you back, what beliefs are holding you back, what fears are holding you back, and really sitting with those things. You don't necessarily have to dive head first into everything without, like, when I say learning about yourself, sometimes you have to go back to some of your earliest memories, or some things that you haven't thought about for years or decades, to really begin to understand who you are, or why you are the way you are. And then working from there, starting to see where who you were before has been altered, has been changed into something else because of something someone said, something someone did, something, words that made you feel a certain way, and suddenly it's like your life went from one course to another. So really begin to, especially ask your angels, your guides, ask for access to the Akashic records, or just ask for those memories to come through, and to find clarification, to find understanding. And as you analyze those things, as you look at those things and really see those turning points, you can then begin to integrate those shadows and appreciate the role they've played in your life, but also begin to come back to that space of who you were, the original you, or transmuting it into something where it helps you, it propels you forward. Alright, the next deck is the Heal Yourself deck. I already talked about one of the cards, but we had Phoenix Rising and Pay Attention to the Signs. Phoenix Rising, this woman just looks like so done to me. Like, she looks like someone who has been so wronged, and she's finally reached her breaking point. And the whole vibe, the whole energy of the Phoenix is like the world crumbling down, or everything going to ash, burning to ash, and then the Phoenix rises from the ashes. So again, you may have this cycle, or this energy of things just breaking down in your life one at a time, or all at once, and you may be at your wit's end. Like, everything is like you're over everything, you don't want to continue on, it's too much. And having the energy, the motivation, the desire to rise up is difficult, but as you're in the midst of everything that has kind of broken down around you, and looking around and really analyzing, asking the questions that need to be asked to your guides, maybe to people around you, asking the questions that maybe you've been ignoring, seeking out the answers of why all of this happened, or what purpose has this served. And once you've gotten to that space of understanding and learning, and you turn that energy now to rising up again, starting again, afresh, a new perspective, new mind, new eyes, and you allow that to help you keep building up and moving up. That is important, right? And then pay attention to the signs. Really paying attention to the signs. Maybe there are things that are happening around you that you haven't really looked at. Maybe there are things that are standing out to you that you haven't asked questions like, what does this mean? Or you haven't looked it up, or you haven't felt through what it is, and you're missing things that are being shown to you. Maybe there are certain feelings throughout your body when you see a certain person, or you have a certain conversation and a word or an energy sticks out to you and you ignore it. Are the signs that you're ignoring leading to your downfall? Are the signs that you're ignoring leading to the tower moment? Is there something that you are avoiding or putting off, procrastinating, that is allowing for things to crumble around you? Those are all the questions I'm going to ask. And then lastly, I have four cards that I pulled from my tarot deck. The first one is the Page of Wands in reverse, which is boredom. It's like having almost an apathy towards life, not having any energy, not having any motivation, being bored, feeling like you've been in the same routine or the same thing over and over again, and it's like nothing is changing, or everything, maybe even being in that place of success and you're getting bored with success. It's like things are coming easily to you, but you're bored because this might be the life that you wanted at some point, or you thought you wanted, but now you have it and it's not. So that boredom energy. We have the Four of Swords in reverse, burnouts. Maybe you've overworked yourself. You have overexerted yourself and your energy, and that is why you have no motivation to do what you actually want to do. We have the Queen of Swords, honesty. Where do you need to be honest in your life? Where do you need to be truthful and honest? Who do you need to be honest to? Is it yourself? Well, first of all, it should be yourself. But also, who in your life have you not been fully transparent with? Who are you lying to besides yourself? Who else are you giving that mask to, or showing that mask to, that's not even who you are? Is it a spouse? Is it a partner? Are you in a relationship that's built off of lies? Are you in a job that's built off of lies? Have you worked so hard to build up to a promotion or a certain status, and it's all a lie? It's not even what you want? You've worked so hard to get where you are. What was it for? Not to say that change can't happen. Of course it can happen. But really, again, recognizing the turning points in your life. Were you down one path and you changed, and all of a sudden things are going things are breaking down? It doesn't necessarily mean that you're on the wrong path just because things are going wrong. Sometimes we need a tower moment in our lives to direct us the way that we need to go, or to make us the kind of person that we should be. Sometimes things need to utterly and need to be reduced to ashes for us to begin to build again. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a lifestyle, whether it's your finances. For me personally, I am about to rebuild my financial life after my credit being ruined. And I just got a job. I'm super excited. I have a room that's gonna be available in a few weeks for me. And it's like I'm seeing this mirror energy where before there were things that I did that led to my downfall financially. And there were choices that I made because of other people that harmed me, or for other people, for the validation of other people that harmed me. Knowing who I am then, but knowing who I am now, I don't need the finest, flashiest things, right? I'm okay with simplicity, but I gave into the lie that I wasn't, that I needed more, that I needed to fill the space that I had, and it led to my downfall financially. So now I'm in the space of rebuilding again. I'm planning, I'm making sure, I'm learning about financial literacy, learning about financial tips. Even before I start this job, I'm making sure I have my priorities straight in terms of what I'm paying, how I'm paying things, where my money is going, focusing on savings first, and then slowly but surely tackling my debts, making sure that my bills are my first priority, not taking on more than I need. Living in my car has really allowed me to appreciate and be content with the simplest things, the simplest versions of things, the simplest life. And it's really important for me moving forward. It's still a tentative thing, but if I do get this room, then recognizing that I don't need to add more than what I have right now. Yes, I'm going to be transferring everything in here to that room, but I don't need to add anything. I don't need to get a bunch of furniture. You know, you may see, I was getting to the point where I was like, maybe I should get a new camera and all these things, and it's like, that's the lie that entrapped me the first time. And while it would be nice to have some nicer things, I also have to be aware of what my priorities are. What I really want is financial freedom from my debt. What I really want is, you know, at the end of all of this, at the end of the job, at the end of, like, to be able to keep traveling, continue traveling, to have this as my primary way of earning money and connecting with people. That's really what I desire. The main thing that has been holding me hostage has been financial obligation, debt, right? And honestly, I've said so many times in the past few months, if money was not an issue, I would not be concerned about working or doing anything. I would just be a hobbit in a cave or something. Like, I don't care about financial systems or the world system or anything like that. But I'm willing to work and do what I need to get that freedom and pay off those debts so I can have a peace of mind that continues and follows me, right? Alright, so the last card was the Two of Cups in reverse. So, again, leaning into that loneliness energy rather than connection, that's solitude energy, but solitude would be the hermit. This is the breaking of relationships. This is the separation of close friends, family. So again, you may see relationships specifically in your life being separated or being disconnected. For some of you, it has served a purpose, or everything serves a purpose, but for some of you, it has served to wake you up. Perhaps people have walked out on you. All of a sudden, it was like a wake-up call for you. Perhaps for some of you, it's the event that forces you to wake up and be aware. But for others of you, it was necessary. It might have been that those relationships were distractions for you or fueled that lie in your life. And now, in this place of solitude, you can now begin to form your own understanding of who you are. You can begin to form your own opinions and your own truth. So yeah, that is everything I have for you for Shadow Work Saturday. If you like the video, definitely like and subscribe and comment, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the Sunday energy reading.